Namaskar friends, this is NJ, host on this channel, continuing our discussion on understanding the importance of different houses in Vedic astrology. In this video, we will try to understand and scrutinize the importance of third house in Vedic astrology and what kind of results we can expect if we will find the third house lord's placement in different houses of our chart. So friends, this house is very important. Trust me on this thing that it is the third house only which has got this potential to fulfill your wishes and carve a niche of yourself. Make your own identity in this lifetime. So this whole discussion is going to be divided in two sections. In first part, we will try to understand what all are the signification which gets represented by the third house. And in the next section, we will try to understand its lord's placement in different houses and what kind of results it could indicate. So okay friends, to begin with, now when we talk about the importance of the third house or its signification, so first of all, this house tells about the prospects of your communication. All form of communication, social media is connected with the third house. Third house is also the prime house of travels as well. Short journeys, short travels, neighborhood travels, we also connect with the third house. And friends, when we talk about its intangible aspect, so this house is the prime house of your courage. This is the prime house of your prowess, of your valor. Now it all comes down to basis your ascendant. We will get to know in which area and on which plane you are going to exert your energies or you are going to manifest your valor and courage. Many times when we talk about the Aries ascendant people, so we all get this idea that just because this ascendant is being ruled by the planet Mars, so Aries natives is all about physical aggression. But trust me guys, if you will scrutinize their important houses like Mercury, which is a planet of discriminatory intelligence, not only Mercury rules their third house of courage, of valor, but at the same time it also rules their sixth house of competition as well. So the true strength or prowess or courage of a Aries ascendant native is actually their mental faculties, their mental talent and mental strength, I mean to say. So friends, coming back to the intangible aspect of the third house. So third house is definitely the house of your courage, of your valor, of your desires, of your intention, of your motivation. Like if you will find third house very prominent in someone's life, so you will definitely find that that person is going to be little bit enthusiastic. And when we talk about the learning prospect, so friends, you have to focus over here that if the wisdom, if the divinity is residing in the ninth house, so all the knowledge of the world if is residing in the ninth house, so your capacity to imbibe and absorb that knowledge resides completely in your third house. So this is the prime house of your curiosity. This is the prime house of determining your learning potential. And along with that, this is also the house of your younger siblings. When we talk about your friends, your comrades, your colleague, people in your neighborhood, your relationship with them, all of that can be attributed with the condition of the third house and third house lord's placement. And friends, third house also tells about your mental faculties. If you want to know about someone's mentality, someone's mental talent, mental aptitude, all those people who take interest in scientific pursuit, so you will definitely find some contribution of the third house, because opposite to it is the ninth house, which can be attributed to philosophy. When we talk about eighth house is the house of your intuitive intelligence. It's the house of the research. But when we talk about your like in general your mental talents, your scientific aptitude, so all of that gets attached with the signification of the third house. And most importantly friends, when we talk about your potential and your capacity to bring a change in your life completely solely based on your own self-initiated efforts, so all of that information we get to know from the condition of the third house. Many times people say this thing that okay, if someone's 10th house is going to be in a very strengthened state, you are going to find all kind of Raj Yogas being formed in the 10th house. So you will get this idea that native's endeavors, his deeds are definitely going to be very empowered, but he still needs the support of the third house, because your actual courage, your mental faculties, your resourcefulness completely resides in the third house. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to tell you about the general signification being represented by the third house and its importance. When we talk about the natural karaka or the significator planet which resonates with the qualities and features of the third house, like the way the karaka or significator planet with the first house is the sun, with the second house is the Jupiter. Same ways the significator or the karaka planet with the third house is the planet Mars. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to tell you as a part of the general attributes being represented by the third house. Now, if you have to understand the importance of its lord's placement in different houses, so friends, try to understand it in a way that whichsoever house we scrutinize while doing assessment, the planetary alignments and the planetary placement in that particular house, that just tells about that basis the innate nature of that planet and the house rulership of that planet. If that planet is coming and sitting in that third house, for example, so that planet basis its nature, it is going to add and contribute to your prowess, to your valor, to your resourcefulness. But when we talk about the actual strength, actual true foundation, so for that you have to assess the condition of that house lord's placement in your chart. So I mean to say, when we talk about that seventh house is the house of your partner, of your relationship, so it's the seventh house lord's placement in the chart only which is going to give you this information, the path which the matrimonial life is going to take you towards. Or in other words, we could also look at it in a way that many astrologers who also give you the directions or give you these filters that in this setting or in this direction you can find your prospective match. So same ways, if you have to understand where is exactly the key to your unlimited potential, your prowess, your resourcefulness lies, you have to scrutinize and you have to give attention to where your third house lord is placed in the chart. And friends, I forgot to mention this thing, that third house is also the prime house of social media, journalism, all those people who work with their own skills, like who are a freelance content creator, graphic designer, dancers, musicians, artists. All of these professions, occupation are straight away connected with the third house. So friends, after getting a brief idea about the treasure of information and signification which third house represents, now we will try to understand where exactly is the key to your success or to unlocking your unlimited potential and courage in this lifetime is lying in the chart. So to begin with, if you will find your third house lord's placement in the first house, this can be seen as one of the fortunate combination, because to begin with, from the third house, the lord has gone to 11 houses ahead of it. And the second thing is that just because it has reached the ascendant or the first house, so it is going to give us this indication that you have that potential which you might be looking outside in the world, but you are carrying that potential within you. When we talk about all those people who start their own business, who are very resourceful nature, who have got a very commanding nature, so all of that signification can be associated with this particular placement of the third house lord in the first house. I've seen so many self-made businessmen with this kind of combination, and specifically even from the fame perspective, for the artistic and creative perspective, getting success in these fields. So even from that perspective, this combination is creating a very good energy. The good part here is that, guys, whatsoever your desires are going to be in this lifetime, because third house also tells about your desires at the same time, so you are definitely going to be capable enough of fulfilling all of your wishes and desire only because of your own efforts in this lifetime. Moving ahead, friends, now if any point of time you will find the third house lord's placement in the second house, so friends, this is a little bit vulnerable combination which can be looked at in a way that third house lord has gone 12 houses ahead of it, and it has reached the second house of your values, of your finances. So one general thing which I want to tell you over here with this placement is that for any of the accomplishment of your desires, of your wishes, and for any of the financial pursuit in this lifetime, try not to compromise on your ethics, try not to compromise on your values. That is the one thing which I want to tell you, because friends, it all comes down to in which combination this alignment is happening. Let's say for example, for a Leo ascendant native like Venus, which has got the rulership of the third house, but now it has gone to the second house and it has got debilitated over there, so it is not a very good combination. But let's say for example, if you will take up the case of a Sagittarius ascendant native, so Saturn rules both the second house and third house. So from the third house, Saturn has got strengthened in the second house. So this also tells about, in this scenario, native might make use of his efforts, his endeavors and all of his energy, and he will also make use of his finances, his own personal accumulated saving, in order to help the downtrodden, in order to help the people in this society. So it all comes down to in which alignment this combination is happening in your chart. But in general, if you want to understand this thing, so this combination can be seen as very positive for all those people who are either connected with the foreign trade, who are in the psychic spiritual field, or in whose case any of the artistic, creative or communication portfolio qualifies. You are a singer, you are a content creator, so this combination can actually benefit you, where your skill is actually going to give you financial rewards as well. But whenever there is a 2-12 combination, so there is always this energy or fear of losses at the same time. So whatsoever your endeavors are going to be, only one mool mantra with this placement is that try not to compromise on your values just for the sake of short-term financial gain. Moving ahead friends, now if you will find your third house lord's placement in the third house, so this can be seen as a very good combination, because whenever a house lord sits in that house, it protects the signification of that house. So it means that in order to successfully retrieve and extract the benefits of that house, you do not have to go outside anywhere. It is lying over there only. So it is going to give us this indication that native is definitely going to be very resourceful. Native is going to be very courageous. And the definition of courage, I have already cleared that at the beginning part of this video, that it all comes down to which planet is ruling your third house. If it's like Mercury, so the courage and prowess is going to take the mental strength. If it is going to be Venus, so your relationship, your resourcefulness, influential contacts might help you. If it is Jupiter, wisdom, fortune. If it is Sun, strong resourceful contacts. So it all comes down to which planet is ruling your third house. So in a nutshell friends, it can be seen as a very good combination, which is going to give us this indication that native is definitely going to be a very influential, very eloquent speaker. Native is definitely going to be very resourceful, and native is going to have this capacity in this lifetime to bring a change in his or her life due to his own self-initiated efforts in this lifetime. With this particular combination, it also tells about that native is definitely going to get the good support from his friends, from his siblings. So even from that perspective, this placement is creating a very good energy. Moving ahead friends, now if you will find your third house lord's placement in the fourth house. So friends, this can be seen as a good combination, as you know this thing that the fourth house tells about our emotional nourishment. Fourth house tells about our contentment prospects. So now what is going to happen is that third house lord, which represents your communication, so these could be among those people who when they speak from their heart. And the second thing is that all the third house related connections and liaisonship and the networking is something which is actually going to matter a lot for the native. Because friends, when we talk about the houses of communication, like 7th house also tells about interaction, which tells about, apart from your life partner, it also tells about general communication in the world or how you deal with the world. 11th house is about you go to parties, you socialize with people, you say hi to people. You might not even know that next time you're going to meet that person or not. But third house connection is something which you retain. So I mean to say, native is definitely going to be very caring and very concerned for his connections, for his close-knit friends. This combination is also creating very good energy for all the fourth house related connected professions. Now this could be if you are in any of the luxury related business, if your business is surrounding around construction, vehicles, land, property, agriculture, animals. So I mean to say, with this particular combination, native is definitely going to make use of his his discriminatory intelligence, his mental faculties and his complete energy in order to retrieve good financial benefit out of the fourth house related matters. So from that perspective, this combination or placement can be seen as a very good sign. Friends, the only one vulnerability with this placement is that if in native's case, any of his wishes are going to qualify, any of his desires are going to qualify, or any of the quest for knowledge is going to be qualifying in the native, so with this particular alignment, it is actually going to give person little bit restless nights or little bit of the restlessness till the time native is not going to fulfill all of his wishes, all of his desires. So that is how you can see this combination. But otherwise, fourth house related business prospects can actually fructify because of the house lord of a communication, energy and self-initiated efforts going over there. Moving ahead, friends. Now, if you will find your third house lord's placement in the fifth house, this can be seen as one of the fortunate combination. Either if you want to understand it from the Bhavat perspective, that the third house lord is sitting 3 houses ahead of it, or the second way to look at it is that the fifth house, which is the Trikona house, which is the house of your past life merits, which is the house of your intellect. So it is actually giving strong thrust and support to your mental and creative faculties. So native's intellect is definitely going to be very driven in this lifetime. The second way of understanding this is that if in native's case, any of the artistic and creative talents qualify, so this is actually going to give native a strong upper edge in order to succeed in any of the creative field, where it will not be an exaggeration to say this thing that native might have a past life connection to his chosen craft in this lifetime. And if you will find the third house lord's placement in a strengthened and dignified state in the fifth house, so it is also going to give us this indication that native's children or progeny is definitely going to support native in order to further his or her own ambition. And native's progeny is definitely going to be act as a source of strength in native's life. Moving ahead, friends. Now, if you will find your third house lord's placement in the sixth house, so this placement can be seen as a blessing in disguise in a way that both of these houses are the Upachya Bhav. So the fruits and the results of the Upachya Bhav grow with the passage of time. And the second way to understand is that it is definitely going to be a blessing and a boon for all those people who are a lawyer or who are in any of the law enforcement field, policing field. And also when we talk about the becoming a trainer, personal trainer, and in today's day and age when we have so many motivational speaker, because guys, third house is the house of your communication, is the house of your courage, your valor, social media, and sixth house is the house of difficulty. But if you will see, in order to reach the sixth house, you have to go 4 houses ahead from the third house. So I mean to say, native is definitely going to have this potential to turn his wounds into wisdom and inspire other people. Basis his own life story, give inspiration and motivation to other people. That can only happen if you will find your third house lord to be placed in a dignified state in the sixth house. If it is not going to be placed in a dignified state, rather than becoming a voice and a motivation and inspiration for other people, native might become and have a victim's mentality. So it all comes down to in which condition, in which dignity your third house lord is placed in the sixth house. But in general, having a very strong, ferocious, fighting spirit and a very inspiring personality, from that perspective, this combination can be seen as a blessing in disguise. Moving ahead, friends. Now, if you will find your third house lord's placement in the seventh house, it is going to give us this indication that to begin with, your life partner or marriage is definitely going to act as a source of strength in your life. Like, this will not be an exaggeration to say this thing, that post marriage your fortune might get awakened. The second way to understand this placement is that the whole world is definitely going to be your teacher or your source of inspiration. This placement can be seen as a good placement to start something on your own. All those people who start their business, get success in the business. So even from that perspective, this placement is creating a very good energy. For any of the commercial activity, this is a good placement, this is a good sign. And all those people who work with their own skill, so getting good audience for their created art, their created work, this combination, this placement is actually creating a very good energy. Moving ahead friends, now if you will find your third house lord's placement in the 8th house. So friends, this placement again can be seen as a blessing in disguise for all those people in whose case any of the 8th house related profession or aspirations are straight away getting qualified. So if in your case spiritual progress is getting qualified, working in the fields of revenue, oil, insurance, research is getting qualified, you are in a psychic field. So if all these prospects are getting qualified in your case, so your mental faculties are actually going to be very deeply involved in the 8th house related matters. And when we talk about 8th house is the house of miracle. Anything can come out of the 8th house. You start digging, you might get a treasure or you might get a snake which is going to actually bite you. So anything can happen from the 8th house. Your third house lord's placement in the 8th house can only benefit the 8th house related and connected occupation, aspirations and livelihood people. But the vulnerability here is that friends, out of all the 12 houses, when we talk about the house which represents headstrongness, which represents rashness, so that is also one aspect of the third house only. And third house lord's placement in the 8th house, and if it is actually going to be working in a very afflicted way, your third house lord is not well placed in a dignified state in the 8th house. So 8th house also represents defamation and scandals of all kind as well. So there you have to give attention. But apart from that, all those people who gain money out of underhanded activities, anything related to casino, anything related to speculative nature of income. So from that perspective, like your income is definitely going to be somehow connected with conflicts, connected with lending, borrowing of money. So from those perspective, this placement can still be seen as a good placement. Moving ahead friends, now if you will find your third house lord's placement in the 9th house, so this can be seen as a very good combination, which is going to give us this indication that whatsoever natives endeavors are going to be in this lifetime, they could be divine protected, divine blessed at the same time. The second way to look at is that, see, third house is your quest for knowledge and 9th house is the actual house of wisdom. So third house lord's placement in the 9th house is also going to give us this indication that native is definitely going to have this capacity to absorb all the divine knowledge and all the wisdom which can be found in this world. And even from all the communication perspective as well friends, this combination is actually creating a very good energy where native's communication, his style of communication is definitely going to be very inspiring and is actually going to impress his audience. So even from that perspective, this combination can be seen as a very supporting combination for getting success in this lifetime. Moving ahead friends, now if you will find your third house lord's placement in the 10th house. So friends, this can be seen as a very good combination specifically for all those people who work with their own skill, because third house is something which represents your skills. But in order to demonstrate your skills to the world, you need a podium, you need a platform as well. So because of your third house lord's placement in the 10th house, that kind of success can be achieved. All those people who work with their own skill, and in some of the cases where people suddenly get the fame, like the direction of success many times tend to remain very sudden, very unpredictable in nature. So even from that perspective, this placement and this combination can be seen as a very good sign. Like, this will not be an exaggeration to say this thing that native might be seen and perceived as a scholar, as a learned person in the society. So from that perspective, this placement is creating a very good energy. Moving ahead friends, now if you will find your third house lord's placement in the 11th house, this can be seen as one of the fortunate combination for your third house lord to be placed in. Friends, to begin with, see, third house represents your desires and 11th house is actually the house of wish fulfillment of those desires. Like if you actually want to make a proper tally and table and want to assess that how many of your desires are going to get fulfilled in this lifetime, so you just have to give attention towards which house is getting more strength in your chart. Is third house getting more strength, like from Ashtavarga points, from the house lord's placement, the planetary presence, or the 11th house is getting more strength? So that is going to give you this idea. But moreover friends, like the way I mentioned this thing at the introduction part of this video, that via scrutinizing your third house lord's placement in different houses, we are trying to understand that where exactly is the key to unlocking your power, your valor and courage in this lifetime. So for the Popeye the Sailor Man, where exactly his spinach in the chart? So because of its presence in the 11th house, and 11th house is the house of our social interaction, of our group activities. Third house is the house of your own efforts. So the good part here is that native's efforts are actually going to connect him with lot many influential people. His friend circle, his social influence is actually going to play a very pivotal role in the success of native. And for all those people who work with their skill, in whose case content creation, any of the dancing, artistic, creative field, if that is getting qualified, or even if you are in a sales, media, marketing, advertising field, so this placement is actually going to support you via offering you good clientele, good audience base. So from all of those perspectives, this placement can be seen as a very fortunate combination. And moving ahead friends, now if you will find your third house lord's placement in the 12th house. So friends, this placement although is little bit vulnerable because 12th house is the house of your losses. Now just because third house which represents your communication, so with this particular placement, one thing which can be said with confidence is that this placement is only going to support all those people in whose case spiritual pursuit is straight away getting qualified, in whose case foreign trade, anything related to working behind the screens is directly getting qualified. Because friends, like the way at the time when we were discussing the placement of the third house lord in the 5th house, in the 7th house, in the 10th house, 11th house, I gave attention on this point that whatsoever your skills, your endeavors, your desires are, you're going to get the right platform, spotlight and the right set of people. But when we talk about 12th house, so whatever happens, that happens behind the screen. You might be knowing powerful people, but they will not be willing to come out in public and support you. They might be giving their support from behind the screen. And even from the perspective of devoting yourself towards a research, any of the spiritual pursuit, like completely devoting yourself to the asceticism, towards spirituality, or with this particular combination, I have also seen this thing that native might have to. There is going to be a major portion of the life where in order to fulfill his desires or in order to get that degree of expertise in his or her chosen craft, native might have to work in isolation or completely isolate himself to gain that degree and level of expertise. And guys, with this particular combination, unless and until only if the third house lord is going to be in a strengthened state in the 12th house, it is going to give success in the early attempts. But if you will find third house lord to be little bit in a vulnerable position or in a difficult state in the 12th house, then natives initial efforts might not give or reap good results, and after repeated efforts only native might get that kind of desired success in the life. So that is something which I want to tell you with this particular placement of your third house lord. So this is something friends which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs for the importance of the third house lord and its placement in different houses of our astrological chart. So for further more updates and notifications on the divine science of astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Thank you.